Tosh Taylor.
And I'm Jenna Morton.
Today we want to say a big thank you before we start off
Yes.
to this episode's sponsor, Jillian Crooks. She's a registered holistic nutritionist with Rehab One in Moncton. So a big thank you for this episode's sponsorship. She's just starting a 12-week program that you can sign up for. And if you listen to the ad in the show a little bit later, you'll be able to check that out and get some more details.
And you can always go back in our archives and find the episode that we recorded with Jillian when you can hear her incredible story. She is just simply amazing what she has done. So take a listen to that. But today, stay with us right now for another wonderful conversation we have. We are thrilled to welcome realtor Jenny Celly to the program.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
I've been following you on social media for at least a year and a half now, I think.
Aww.
Like,
She's a
just
creeper.
like she knows that. We interact
we
on
follow
social
each
media.
other, so
It's not just creeping. But I think like just kind of before the pandemic hit,
Yes.
I think I realized that you were in Sackville and you were, you know, helping people find homes and just sharing your love for this province, which is of course what we love to talk about all the time. So I would love if you could just start by telling people a little bit about your story and who you are.
Yes, absolutely. So actually, we moved here 3 years ago from Ontario. From Burlington was our last place, but I grew up in Toronto. My husband was born in Toronto. We had 2 kids. We got tired of the commute. We got tired of the crazy running around. Everything was always in a rush. We would barely see the kids. And then we saw actually the mayor of St. John was calling on Torontonians through CBC saying New Brunswick has no traffic, there's jobs, low, the prices of homes are like dirt cheap. And I'm like, too good to be true, but let's go check it out. We came in January, fell in love with the house in Sackville.
You fell in love with New Brunswick in January.
In January,
That's
right?
impressive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I
If you can
know-
fall in love with this place in January, you're gonna
Then
really
we're good to
enjoy
go,
it.
right? We're good to go. No, we were, believe it or not. We came, actually, we saw the report from the mayor December 26th. I still remember. January 20th, we were driving to New Brunswick.
Wow.
Stayed for the weekend, saw some houses, saw the house in Sackville, went back, put our house for sale. June 15th, we were here in
Holy.
New Brunswick. So it was just, crazy. We kind of act like that. Our whole family in Ontario, they were like, what are you guys going to go do there? Right? I mean, 3 years ago, New Brunswick didn't have the hype that it has now. So everybody's like, well, what are you going to do there? We're like, well, live just like everybody else does and enjoy our kids and enjoy our life. And we have no regrets. We have loved every single bit of New Brunswick. Our kids love it. And if we miss a big city, we just go visit our family back home. So not a big deal.
That's exactly right. I think people forget sometimes just how quick it can be to get back to other places in Canada from this area.
It's really, the past year and a half, 2 years has been a bit of a shocker when you're away from your family.
Absolutely, yeah.
However, the hour and a half, 2 hour flight to Toronto is lovely.
Yeah.
It's lovely. Did you find when you moved out here, because I definitely did, people were like, New Brunswick? Where's New Brunswick?
Well, a lot of people kept saying, you're moving to Newfoundland. I'm like, no, New Brunswick, not Newfoundland. Very different.
Very different,
But unfortunately, that's the mentality that they had. Now it's changing, though, because the funny thing is that now people see our videos and they're like, how is New Brunswick to live? And like, send me some info. And we've actually, my parents-in-law have moved since then. We've had friends move since then to New Brunswick. So definitely, when people start seeing this beautiful province, it starts working and it kind of, builds that interest in them.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what it was like, those moments when, you decided you're going to make this big move and your family is going, where are you going? What are you doing? Because I see people asking about that a lot. People who are, like you were, following kind of the hype that's happening now and going, I think I want to do this. How do you deal with your family who are like, don't go?
Absolutely. So I think it was hard for us because, again, our whole family was there. Grandparents, my brothers, uncles, aunts, everything. And we put our family first. You know what I mean? Like, your family, your little family, are you guys thriving where you are now? And we weren't. You know what I mean? We were working between commute and work. It was 12 hours a day, getting home to put the kids to bed. The kids were in daycare. And it wasn't working out for us as a family. And I think we just put our family as a priority. We said, okay, it's just the 4 of us. We want to enjoy these kids before they get too old. Let's do it, right? So definitely we had a lot of people, say, well, you guys are taking the kids away from their family. I'm like, yeah, but we barely see you guys to begin with because everybody's so busy in the big cities. And just the distances because of traffic, we lived in Burlington, we have family in Toronto. We didn't want to travel back during the weekend because we were tired of being in Toronto during the week for work. So we barely saw a lot of our family even back then. Like, well, we're probably going to see you more now that we're in New Brunswick and, you know, want to travel back to visit. So definitely, I think it was just putting our family as a priority and just looking for that quality of life that we were not getting in Ontario, and we definitely found it.
What do you find, because both your kids were school age when they moved here?
Well, my daughter was. My son
Okay.
was 4. He had just turned 4, and actually it's funny because in Ontario, kids start when they're 4, right? They start junior kindergarten, so he had to wait an extra year to go to school here. My daughter was definitely afraid. She was 6 when we arrived, and she was like, oh, I'm not going to make any friends. I mean, we felt guilty in that part. I guess once we sold the house, we're like, oh my God, we're doing this. Right? So we're like, all right, start packing, right? And then our kids were excited, but I think my daughter, it kind of hit her like, oh, I'm not going to see my friends in September. So definitely there was some fear there for her. She was nervous. We ended up in Sackville, beautiful, you know, sweet, welcoming little town where everybody knows each other. There's only one elementary, one middle school, one high school, so kids grow up together. So we got here in June, and she was able to meet a lot of kids through the summer programs of the town. So by the time that she actually started school in September, she knew a few of the kids. So definitely that helped out tremendously. And the fact that people here in the Maritimes are very welcoming.
Oh yeah, we want people to come.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
big
yes.
time.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I think that's an interesting point. I know I haven't had to make a big move with kids. I've only ever moved, you know, myself and my husband. But I know as a family, people make those decisions based on, you know, should I go before the school year? Should I go in the middle of the school year? You deal with a lot of families coming at different points in the year. Is there an ideal time to move if you're thinking of it in that terms?
I honestly think that summertime was good. It really worked out for us, again, because it kind of got the kids used to their neighborhood, used to the parks, used to the people. And again, especially in the neighborhood that you're going to be in, you're going to see kids and they're going to come up to you, and, you know, people are going to introduce themselves. So it gives them that buffer, you know, before starting school as a fresh kid. Like, here you go, or in the middle of school where you're like, oh my God, I know no one, to at least know some people. So definitely I do recommend summertime. It worked out for us. I did have some clients that came in April, and they found it hard to put the girls into school in April. So they actually decided to, you know, just homeschool them until they could start. But definitely I think that bringing the kids in the summer is a bit easier than bringing them in the middle of the school year.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have, like I said, I've never had to really think about it. So yeah, because I don't know that would have been my gut reaction to think that way. And then of course you get the joy of spending a summer in New Brunswick.
Oh, absolutely.
Which, if anyone follows your social media, which we'll make sure we share at the end, you make summer in New Brunswick look amazing.
And it is amazing. It is. Yeah, we've been here for 3 years, and I still feel like a tourist. I'm like, I still have so many things to visit. Like that list of 101 things to do with kids, we're probably at like 10. Right? So definitely we have a long way to go, and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Really,
it's so easy, and that's what we like to try to get across in this podcast, is how unbelievable this underrated province is. That's for sure. So, okay, I want to know, were you working in real estate in Toronto, and so I was going to ask you what differences you were seeing.
I wasn't working in real estate, but I did. So this would be our 6th house. Me and my husband love to move, right?
Ooh.
So exactly, we would like buy and then sell and buy, because you could do that in Toronto. The market in Toronto actually, you know, contributes to you making equity when you buy and sell. But definitely the two markets in New Brunswick and in Toronto, like we were discussing earlier, I believe the market a few years back in New Brunswick, when people would sell, they would sell either at what they bought or a little bit lower, but they would just try to even themselves out or not lose as much money. In Ontario, it's always been like, how much equity or how much money can you make on top of what you already bought for? And it's hundreds, or thousands of dollars, within a year that you could make extra. Over here, the market is now starting to trend that way, and people are not used to it, right? Locals are like, well, what do you mean? That house 2 years ago was worth half of what it's selling for now, right? So definitely the influx of people from out of province are definitely, making this trend happen here.
I'm going to kind of put you on the spot because I didn't tell you I might ask this because it just popped into my head. But looking at that, what advice do you have for people who are in the market now who, are, lifelong New Brunswickers or East Coasters and have that kind of oh, your house is only kind of supposed to sell for this, and people are worried about, obviously your taxes go up when your assessment goes up because the market changes, but there's some advantages to that. What should people be doing in this new market?
In this new market, are you talking more about buyers, local buyers, or just people?
I would say people who have lived here, who have owned their home for, 10, 15, 20 years and didn't think of it as an investment the way people moving here now might, and way the market might be shifting.
Absolutely. So definitely, yes, I do hear that a lot of people are complaining, even though they're not selling their house, because the house next door sold for way more, so now their property taxes are going to go up. But you also got to look at the other side of the coin, where your property is also going up, and now your house is becoming an investment, a great investment that can now potentially help you out when you retire, or to take out equity if you want to fix up your house or do anything, because prices in New Brunswick for homes are going up. In the last 30 years, they have gone up 30%, or over 30%. So definitely, if you take a look at the other side of the coin, for people that already own homes, they are sitting on a nice little nesting egg in comparison to 3 years ago. Yes, your property taxes are going to go up, but the price of your property has also gone up. So I think that is actually a great thing if you want to look at it that way, because when you do decide to retire, you're going to have that much more equity in your home.
And do you think that we'll see some of what you were doing? You said, when you lived in Toronto and Burlington, and that like every couple of years, people moving and making equity as they go. Do you think we're going to see more of that here on the East Coast now?
I definitely think it's going to eventually start to happen. Obviously, it's too soon because it's just picking up, but I definitely do see that. Again, people are starting to realize that New Brunswick is a great place to be. Because of COVID, a lot of people can work from home. So we're getting a lot of that influx of people that can work from home, getting Ontario money, coming here to buy properties. So definitely that's when property prices start to go up. So yeah, absolutely. I think that in a few years, people are definitely going to start doing that. We are getting a lot of investors already in New Brunswick, so the mentality is already there.
Are you, and I'm going to put you on the spot too,
I love it.
I want to, and you don't have to answer this, but I'm wondering, are you finding anybody who's remorseful about coming? Like, is there some things that people get here and they're like, oh my God, I didn't think of that, i.e. our horrible internet, but which is a major, because a lot of people are rural, and I don't know how good it is in Sackville, but I know, like I was just telling you, I live 2 minutes outside of Riverview, and my internet's garbage. So like, I'm wondering if people are having a lot of, not sticker shock, obviously that's not the right word, but
yeah, so no, definitely. I mean, if you're coming from a big city, you are going to find things that you're going to have to adjust, and that's when the balance comes. Like, okay, I'm not going to get high-speed internet, but I could see my kids earlier than spend time with my kids. We actually had that in Sackville. My husband worked from home when we moved, and we signed up with Bell thinking, it's high-speed internet everywhere, because of course in Ontario,
it's everywhere.
Places you get And then we signed up to Bell, and he's like all excited to start work, and it was literally like dial-up, and we're like, oh my God. He's like, I'm gonna get fired. He's like, I can't work like this. So we had to go with another company, with Eastlink, and it was better. So things like that. For me, the biggest thing has been actually food, the variety of food. In Ontario, you literally, or in Toronto where we were, you'd come out and there was like, plethora of like restaurants, and whatever you wanted to eat was there. Over here, it's a lot harder. I love food. Our family loves food. We love trying out different foods. So definitely that has been one of the things that I miss the most about Ontario, aside from my family, of course. But
food is always a close second.
Exactly, right? So close.
But it is. That's one that I see a lot of people commenting on. Even when we moved back, we lived in Toronto only for a couple of years, and even moving back was like, oh,
right.
I miss having, and at that point in time, there wasn't even as much as there is now here, but there was still kind of like, oh, well, no, I can get some decent Thai food, but there's like one place I can do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Not
the variety.
a variety. I can't find my favorite place to get pho.
Yes.
There's a place, and you better like it because it's what you're getting.
That's what you're getting. But you know what? That being said, a lot more stores that are ethnic stores are coming up.
Yes.
So we are from Colombia, and that was like a lot of my products. I wouldn't find them here. My mom actually moved with us as well. So we're like, all right, well, whatever, it doesn't matter if we don't get it. But now we go to stores, all these little stores, and even the superstore, the Canadian superstore, is carrying a lot of ethnic products. So that just goes to tell you that, yes, definitely we're getting more immigrant families, more people coming here. So it's eventually going to catch up, right? We're not even going to miss the food back in Ontario.
It's true. It's true. They actually just opened a Jamaican place up the street here in Riverview, and I cannot wait to get there.
I've heard good things already.
Oh yeah, me too. So yeah, it's nice to see those little things popping up everywhere, and hopefully more people continue to come. But have you found, now that the summer is ending, are people slowing down on their purchasing through like Facebook walkthroughs, you know, the sight unseen and things like that. Is that slowing down now that travel's opened back up in New Brunswick and stuff?
So the summer started to slow down a little bit, but that is usually common in real estate because people do want to enjoy the end of their summer,
True.
right? So you did see a slowdown around August. The fall market, though, is where people start to pick up again. So that's starting to pick up again during the winter months, obviously more November, December. That's when it really slows down because most people don't want to buy during the winter months. The ones that are out there in the market buying are the ones that are serious because they're either moving or for whatever reason they must buy. But definitely it is going to start to slow down a little bit with the colder months coming. But I humbly predict that we're going to be picking up again, once the weather starts to get warmer, spring market, because there's a lot of people that are still interested in New Brunswick, and the fact that they could actually now come to New Brunswick, that's going to bring a big influx of people looking for homes.
Can you talk a little bit about, we kind of touched on it and then we went everywhere else, about your decision to get into real estate? Because obviously you had a love for buying and selling.
Yes, yeah.
What was it, the move here that switched you into the career?
It was definitely to move here. I was always a person that I was afraid of commission work. For me, it was like, I need to know how much I'm getting paid every 2 weeks, and I'm happy like that, you know what I mean? I don't want to be guessing.
Yeah.
I always loved the whole part about selling homes, about the core. And my husband would always push me. Even in Burlington, I wanted to do it, but I was like, nope, I do not like commission. Over here, I started working. The people were super friendly at my last job, but I did not enjoy the actual job. And I said, you know what, I don't see myself retiring from this. And my husband's like, well, how about real estate? And I'm like, not sure. Anyhow, I ended up giving it a try. I got my license in December. I literally quit my job in end of October 31st, took a whole month to study to get my license. They give you a full year, but I said, no, I'm doing this like in 1 month. You know what I mean? I'm like, I gotta get on it kind of thing. And yeah, it's been history since. It's been amazing. I almost say I wish I would have gotten into it sooner. Right?
Always the way.
Right,
Well,
it's always the way it is.
And it seems like you've been doing it forever, because like I said, I've been following your social media now for a year and a half at least, shortly after you really got into it. And I would have thought you've been selling real estate your whole life. And being very smart about how you do it on social media as well, because you've been noticed within your field for your work on social media.
Correct. And
Wow.
definitely. And again, what we were talking about, I think New Brunswick still has a lot of catching up to do when it comes to social media, when it comes to leveraging the internet, websites. And again, I came from a place where this was already there, so I kind of wanted to implement that here. I wanted people to be able to find me on social media, and they are, especially people that are coming from other provinces. They're used to just Googling people here. So definitely that has been an advantage for me to be able to get out to more people and just to show them the beauty of New Brunswick. Social media has been amazing.
Well, the aesthetic of the province makes that pretty easy too, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Like,
It absolutely does.
it's really nice. That there goes our friend Chris Kolpa.
Hi, Chris.
The bonuses of doing show
There
time. We
we
also
go.
have a previous episode with Chris.
Yes,
If
you
you'd
should
like to
listen to
go.
that one too.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Although kind of out of date because it was about him working away so much.
That's very true. Very true.
Life of a
Yeah.
rock star. It shifts
you
during
go.
the
Yeah,
pandemic.
that might have been season 1, was it? Or season 2? We've been doing this for
Season
so
2,
long.
I think. I
that-
think it was
Nice.
season 2. We could
Yeah.
ask Chris, but I'm not sure if he remembers. I think season 1 we spoke to his wife, and season 2 we spoke
yeah,
to Chris.
yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
He's nodding.
Yeah. So we touched a little bit on winter and how things would slow down in the winter, but I want to know, coming from Toronto, how did you feel about your first winter in the Maritimes?
It's funny because people are afraid of moving here for that specific
exactly.
reason.
Yeah.
For me, it was not a big deal. I find
No.
that Toronto gets way more snowfalls. The thing with us is that we get a full day of snow, which leaves snow on the ground for about a week. In Toronto, it could snow like every single day by little bits, but like for the whole week. So that's what I tell people. I'm like, you're going to be shoveling snow in Toronto, you're going to be shoveling snow here. The difference is that we get a full day of snow, and that's why we have good amounts of snow. Weather-wise, I actually felt more cold in Toronto. Like I remember going through more minus 40-degree days than I've gone through here. People don't believe that though, and I'm like, it's not because I'm trying to sell you more on it, but literally, like I find the winters here better. I actually enjoy the winters here because there's so many activities that are promoted here. I had never done snowshoeing. I got to do snowshoeing here. Cross-country skiing, never, you know what I mean? And all those things that you get to do here.
Well, and all those things are accessible kind of right outside your door here, whereas if you're in Toronto, Burlington, like you're going outside the city to go to a snow hill, and it's a resort and you have to pay for everything, whereas here, like, yeah, you can literally go out your back door depending on where you live and be
Yes.
on trails.
And be on trails. And in Sackville, at least, they actually let you borrow snowshoes during the winter. You know what I mean? So you don't have to go in and buy a pair of snowshoes. They actually let you borrow that. So really, the way they promote being outdoors here in New Brunswick is incredible.
It's fantastic. It's funny that when you talk about it, that's when I think back to winters in Toronto. I think of being cold, and I always attributed to just the fact that I walked more there because I was walking to the subway and then
Yeah.
walking to work, whereas here it's like, oh, I can stay in my cozy house
Yeah.
and go out when I feel like I want to go out.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's me and my husband. I remember we met up for lunch one time to go snowshoeing, and we're like, we would have never been able to do
this
this in
happening?
Toronto. You know what I mean? Like literally
do it on
do
your
half
lunch
an hour, during your lunch break. I was like, oh my goodness, right? You have to like make a whole plan, a whole trip over there, days ahead. But definitely, like I said, the fact that we have so much nature here, and kids are growing up in that, or at least and most kids here in New Brunswick, they're exposed to all this beauty. It makes a huge difference.
That's one thing that I hope for my kids. They grow up and have this kind of ease of, you know what I mean? Like kind of that, I love the East Coast laid back lifestyle. Love that so much that I think it's my favorite part of that, it'll get done when it gets done.
Yeah.
And, you still got to obviously work on your timeline, but I love that feeling of, you don't have to go all the time. We're not going between daycares. We're not going, from this sport to that sport to this sport or whatever. You don't have
Even
to
when
keep
you
up
are
with the Joneses
doing
here.
that, you're not going across a city to do
Yes.
it,
Yes.
or
Yeah, that's true.
you're going across a city by name
Yeah.
if you're in Moncton or St. John.
Yes.
But cities here are not like cities in
Oh, no.
other
No.
places in this country.
And there's no traffic, right? That's another thing, right? I mean, I know people in New Brunswick are like, yes, there is traffic.
People
I'm
think
like,
there's
people
there's
think
traffic.
there's traffic, but I'm like, no, you are stuck in traffic for 5 minutes. In Toronto, you're stuck in traffic for like 2 hours.
5 hours.
You know what I mean? Exactly. So you're
Yeah.
like, no, that's not really traffic. But again, right? Especially, I know Moncton, downtown Moncton, parts of Riverview. There's times where there is a little
There are
bit
little
of traffic.
bottlenecks
sure,
now and
yeah.
then. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's nothing in comparison. It's not gonna, take away from your day.
No.
Right?
No.
And in Sackville, it's hilarious. We have 2 lights in Sackville. You know what I mean? It's like that's our traffic if
Yeah.
we hit a red light.
You have both red lights. to
Exactly.
screw.
You're like, oh my God, I'm a minute behind.
Yeah.
So yeah. So no,
And whoever you're going to meet is probably right behind you anyway.
exactly,
so they're stuck
right?
too.
So I'm like,
They're stuck for that whole minute.
absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, the perks, right?
The perks,
Exactly.
exactly. Well, unfortunately, we do have to wrap up the show. So we've talked a couple of times about how great your social media is, and I already started following your page. But how about you tell everybody else how they can follow you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram, it is Jenny Celly Realtor, and on Facebook, Jenny Celly Realtor as well. I know, definitely. If anybody from out of province has any questions, I would love to share my experience with them as well. Again, I went through it. Things I would have done differently, I would love to share with them.
But
as
yeah,
well.
you shared some great tips about moving with kids
Yeah,
and
it's-
the move across the country, all those kind of things. Yeah, you're sharing tips
Thank
all
you.
the time, and yeah, it's
We
just
love that.
it's very
Yeah.
fun to follow. And drink recipes. That's still like
Oh!
I have like
You
I
guys
have
have to-
my heart,
screenshots.
to my
I have
heart.
screenshots of her social
Sombra,
media for
really?
things to like. I need to make this.
I know. I almost feel like I would tell my husband, I'm like, am I posting too much about liquor?
No,
That's the way of the world these days.
Exactly right. I'm like, am I posting too much about drinks?
not at all.
Never.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much for
you,
joining
guys.
us. It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure, and thank you all for listening and for watching. And we'll be back again next week. Do it all again. Make sure you subscribe, like, follow, smash that button, as my children say, all that stuff.
Look at that. Look at that. Okay, thank you again for the time. And remember to check out the new 12-week program with this episode's sponsor, Jillian Crooks. She is a registered holistic nutritionist with Rehab 1 in Moncton, and you can find her on all social media.